Teddy covers going for 9 big game breakdowns in a row. That's right. He won yesterday. He's got a pick today on the Celtics and the Nuggets. He's won 8 in a row. It'll be later on in the show. I'm rhyming. You all know Marco is our first guest. He is going to talk about Toronto and Phoenix, Arizona at USC. Ralph Michaels after him. And we're going to end with Kyle Anthony, and we are going to delve into the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson boxing, I don't know what you want to call it, affair, match, game, exhibition, nonsense, whatever it is. You can bet on it. Marco D'Angelo right off the bat. What up, good sir?
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Wait. Teddy, how was my opening?
It's okay.
Okay, Marco, back to you.
Just glad to be here, share the screen with you, Prez.
Listen, I get it, man. I mean, there's people lining up to share screens with me. I understand. I accept and respect. But honestly, the pleasure is mine, brother. I mean, you're just kicking freaking ass. It's unbelievable, and we'll talk about it a little later, as right now we're getting into some actionable info. Teddy, I'm going to set it up because I'm already yapping. Toronto Raptors, they're plus 10.5. I don't know how anybody bets this team, but I understand that the line is a factor here, and especially one this big. Where are we going, Mr. D'Angelo?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. Toronto is a train wreck at the moment, and they're coming off an embarrassing loss, Prez. They lose 139-98 at home. And you know what? When you have a game like that, sometimes the best thing that the doctor can subscribe for you is head out on the road. You go out on the road. You don't have to listen to all the local media who is constantly asking you the same questions. What's wrong? You don't have any distractions from at home. The road, when you're out on the road, guys get the bond, go to dinner together. And that's what I'm looking for tonight with Toronto, to have a very good focused effort tonight. But you know what? I'm all about situations, and I'm looking at this situation with Toronto tonight, and I'm taking a look. They're playing the Phoenix Suns. And if you get drilled at home by New Orleans 139-98, you would think that you're going to get beat worse on the road playing at Phoenix, especially since Phoenix is coming off a big win on the road at Denver. But you know me, I'm looking for the letdown. They're coming off beating the world champs in Denver. That was a huge game for Phoenix. But I'm also looking at what they've got on deck. Off of the Phoenix win in Denver, they got the Boston Celtics. So you played the defending champs in your previous game, and you got the best team in the NBA coming up from the East in your next game. How do you possibly be focused to play Toronto? And the line is the great equalizer. I'm going to go ahead and grab Toronto plus the generous number of 10.5 here and throw one stat out for you. You know, talk about that sandwich spot that you've got with Toronto. Phoenix, in home games, after 3 or more consecutive unders, which means if they're playing an under, they put forth an effort and actually played some defense. This team is just 1-10 against the spread, Phoenix, over the last 2 seasons. Go ahead and give me Toronto plus the points. Teddy, I'm ready for the cross-examination.
Kick his ass,
here it comes. So we're shooting some evergreen videos for WagerTalk today, and I'll be shooting a video later today talking about NBA second half bettings. And one of betting. And one of my points when I'm talking about NBA second half betting is that the bottom feeders, once they let go of the rope, no amount of value is enough. Toronto is a team, hey, they fought the fight at times this year. They played pretty well coming out of the All-Star break. But now they're playing without Scotty Barnes. They're playing without Jakob Poeltl. They don't have Bruce Brown off the bench. They're shorthanded. They're a lottery team. They're not going anywhere. They know they're not going anywhere. Isn't this the type of team that maybe we kind of tap the brakes on over the back half of the campaign?
No question that, yeah, you look for teams that, quit, throw the towel, whatever. But I'm going to give that first game, Teddy. And again, it's a situation. I like a team when they head out on the road, the first game of the road trip. If you're going to get effort, you're going to get it in the first game. You want to get the road trip off to a good start. This will be the one. If they throw a clunker in here tonight, yeah, jump on the bandwagon. There'll be plenty of time to fade them. But again, I'm looking at the spot, Teddy. I love this spot. This Phoenix team, I just don't trust them on a nightly basis. And this is a spot where they very easily will look right past the Toronto Raptors, fat and sassy off of beating Denver and Boston on deck. I'm playing the spot, as it seems like every week when I sit here and defend myself, which, by the way, I didn't want to bring it up, but I would. How'd last week work out? I think I had a 30-point
just
win.
fine for you, Marco.
And a 17-point win.
That's the only reason we have you back on. It's not that you're one of the owners of Wager Talk. Marco, listen, I'm from Toronto, and somewhere in your analysis, you basically implied that Toronto people are a bunch of morons. Do you really think that the media in Toronto are asking the Raptors, what's wrong? What happened? Like, how dumb do you think people from Toronto are? Nobody is asking that question, Marco. No reporter is sticking a microphone in a Toronto basketball player that they've never heard of before and saying, what's wrong, guys? Is it OG gone? Barnes gone? Is it Siakam gone? Is it your whole team's a bunch of G-Leaguers? No, Marco. We fully know what is wrong in Toronto. So thank you for implying we're a bunch of freaking morons. Speaking of which, I would like to read something that one of our great listeners wrote. You guys have mentioned and acknowledged this before. This is from Neil Seri. But your team has a great behind-the-scenes staff. Special shout-out to Missy and the entire customer service team. Outstanding. Flat out correct. Yep. Missy, M2, our team, Chris, Lexi, everybody. We have, honest to God, we have the best customer service team in this industry, bar none. And one great thing about Missy is she is not an owner, but she is the boss. There is one person who could give me, Johnny, Rick, Marco, Teddy, Kelly, shit, anytime she wants with full immunity, and that is Missy. Missy is the mother hen of our company, and you couldn't be more right, Neil. Anything quick to add there, Marco or Teddy?
Oh, absolutely. And she is the one person that can keep Mr. Johnny Detroit in check.
Well, she's our
with
Johnny
no
Whisperer.
Ramifications.
Yeah.
We appreciate that you appreciate who we appreciate. Yeah. That's the bottom line. Is these are all people, look, these are people that make all of our lives easier. They make all of our lives better. And for customer service, there is no better website for sports picks, customer service, than Wager Talk. And you'll see if you get involved.
It's not even close. Marco, so looking at the live odds screen, Teddy, how am I doing so far? Huh? Looking at the
what live odds screen, Lawrence? The Wager Talk.
I'm about to say that.
Live odds
looking
screen.
at the free live odds screen at WagerTalk.com, one of the best odds screens in the business and only getting better. I notice that USC is now minus 9.5. There are 9s, a few, but 8.5 is gone. Where are you going in this game? Arizona State at USC.
Well, what can I say, Prez? I just think about a game and the line's moving. It was 8.5 last night when I loaded the play. I still like it at 9.5. And this is one of those things where we're at the end of the season. Of the regular season, we get that second restart coming next week with the conference tournaments. And I like to look at teams and see how they've progressed through the season. There's no question, USC, this has been a down year for them, not what we expect. But if you look at the projection of this team and the way they've gotten better throughout the season, I like the way they're heading right now. This is a team, too, if you consider, you look at them down the stretch, they have covered 4 of their last 5. What's more impressive is they've played 5 of their last 7 games on the road. The big indicator for me is this team starting to play some really good defense. You look at this team, and they have been holding teams regularly. I think it's now 9 of the last 12 or 8 of the last 11 to 42% or less shooting. That's important because when we look at their opponent in this game, Arizona State, they're heading the other direction. They're not shooting the basketball well right now. 3 of their last 4 games, they've shot 38% or less. They're coming off their rivalry game against Arizona, which they laid an egg against Arizona. For me, I think Arizona State's just waiting for the Pac-12 championship conference tournament here in Vegas, which will be the last time we'll see that here in Vegas, as the Pac-12 will be no more after this year. And I think they're mailing it in. I like the way USC's playing right now. I'm going to go with them. And here's a little stat for you with USC. They're coming off an upset win in their last game. Over the last 2 seasons, when they've won outright as an underdog in the next game, which a lot of teams would be flat in the next game, this team's not. They're a perfect 6-0 against the spread in that situation. I look for them to finish out these final 2 games at home on a good note and get that momentum heading into the Pac-12 tournament next week here in Vegas. Lay the number with USC.
Yeah, minus 9.5, really the prevailing number right now with the Trojans. And Marco, you're often a guy that talks about spots. And certainly you're a guy that talks about a change in roles. In my mind, the change in role stands out to me for USC in this ballgame. They've been dogs. Now they're not just laying. They're laying. They got to win by double digits. Yeah, the first week of January, they covered twice as a favorite. And since then, they've covered once as a favorite. Since the first week of January. They beat Oregon State, the bottom feeder in this conference, and they blew them out. But that's it. Is this a team that we actually trust, not just to win the game or to cover a point spread as a dog, but to win by margin? And not just by margin, by double-digit margin against an opponent that beat them the first time.
Yeah. Teddy, have you seen those commercials they've been running with the insurance company where they say, hey, let's go to the replay and see it? Yeah. This is an exact replay of last Thursday when you cross-examined me on Rutgers. Exactly what it is. I'm looking at the spot here, and I just don't like Arizona State. I think Arizona State, you talk about a team that's quit. They were lifeless in the Arizona game. Coming off that one, that's the game that they would have shown something. And this team, yeah, you're right. They've not been a favorite very often. They were back in February against Oregon State, another bottom feeder. They were laying 9.5 in that one, and they blew them out 82-54. So, again, I think you got 2 teams heading in opposite directions at the moment. I'm going to take the team with what I feel was some momentum right now and take USC. I like when you've got a program that traditionally is one of the teams that we would talk about in the Pac-12 and has been down when they get a little better at the end of the season and heading into that new life. Because as I say all the time, when we get to the conference tournament, you know what, Teddy? Everybody's 0-0 when they head the tournament.
Marco, so I have a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
Is it your narcissism? Do you actually think Teddy remembers what went down last Thursday on this show, what he said to you, how you reacted? Do you even think he remembers what picks you gave out? I mean, does the world center around you?
In my eyes, it does, yes. It does with you, Prez.
Well, but that's because it does. It literally centers around me. Marco, none of us remember what you said last Thursday, bro. Like, for the record, I know you won. We love having you on. You're one of the best dudes around, but everything you just said in the last 10 minutes has already disappeared out of my head. So you're on a 9-5 run, 27-12 run in your 4% best bets. You got one going tonight. It is a 4% Pac-12 bet. You have a promo to give out. Everyone's going to ask this question, so I might as well ask it now. Can you use this promo on me?
We have other promos that are site-wide with the 25%, but I have a personalized one, Marco 25, so you can get 25% off any all-access package, which is the way to go because you can pay $25 for the one game tonight, the 4% in the Pac-12, which obviously is not USC because I gave it out here. It is a different Pac-12 game. But you can use it on any all-access package, whether it be a day, a week, a month, the entire year. Save 25% today with that coupon.
Guys, there's not many people better than Marco at sports betting, and he's shown it in short-term and long-term. As we said, 27-12 run currently in his 4% plays and his all hoops. 287 wins, 203 losses in his last 2 years. A net profit of close to $20,000. Just outstanding stuff. And a guy that is a good sport when I pick on him, Teddy.
Yeah, much better than me.
Yeah, to say the least. Yesterday you were, well, let's move on. So, Teddy, before we get into what did bettors learn, I got a great question from a user, a user. What the hell? Jonathan Wilson, great show as always. Quick question. After you run your power rankings and have your number, what is the main determining factor between a 3% and a 4 and a 5? How do you determine which percent to give out, Teddy?
So that's all. That's the secret sauce, to be perfectly honest. And everything starts with 3. There are games that stand out that you will probably rate higher. There are games that stand out that everything falls into place that you're like, hey, this is worthy of a 5% play. I don't release a lot of 5%, but the percentage-wise is not something that necessarily comes easy to beginning bettors. That's why I encourage beginning bettors to keep their unit sizes relatively concise. You don't want to be bouncing up and down. As you do this longer, you start to see there are sometimes that there is stuff that stands out, and it's not always because of a power rating. There are times that I will like a play, a big ticket play, and my number is exactly what the number is on the screen, or exactly the number I'm betting. It's not always a power rating differential. There are situations, spots, injuries, all kinds of things that could point you strongly towards one side that's not specifically because there's a power rating number differential that's going to get you on board. So power ratings are a piece of the puzzle for me. They're not the only piece of the puzzle. Lawrence?
Yeah, there we go. Guys are asking, Prez, how did you do on your Don't Buy My Package Wednesday? Because, I said I was going to have a 5-0 day. Don't buy my package, blah, blah, blah. I did not have a 5-0 day, Teddy, but I had a winning day. And today, I'm actually asking you guys to buy my plays because I have one of my rarest plays of all, a 4% NHL money line bet. This is my 7th 4% NHL money line bet this season. I am 5-1 in these. And all my money line bets in total in NHL, 68.5% this season. 28 wins, 13 losses. So I have a big day. 3 NHL plays, 2 college, 1 NBA, and I'm saying I'm not going 6-0, but I'm going 4-2. Teddy, what did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
I want to talk about conference tournaments, and I want to talk about the big dance, specifically when it comes to future bettings. There are conference tournaments everywhere. They started earlier this week. We got a bunch today. Sunbelt, Horizon, West Coast Conference, Missouri Valley, Ohio Valley, the MAC, Atlantic Sun, Patriot League, Summit League, Southern Conference, Big South, and then next week is everybody else. And then the week after, it's the big dance. So this is peak, I'll call it future betting season for college basketball right here and the next few weeks. Betting on teams to win tournaments, or betting on teams to win perhaps regions in the big dance. When you talk about these future betting opportunities. And the future book is a standard way to bet these, Prez. You make your bet, you forget about it, then hope you cash or hope you have the opportunity to hedge betting against yourself in the championship game or something like that. Most of the sharp bettors that I know don't bet the future book that way. Instead, what they'll do is they'll find the team they want to support and bet them on the money line and then roll it over into the next game. It's not a bet and forget. You got to place a bet before every game if you want to. Your bet sizes will increase throughout the course of the tournament as you risk more on this future alternative way to get a future book wager down. But there are two huge advantages of doing it betting every game way instead of the lazy way where you make the one bet. The first, your ROI is routinely better, especially for any team that's not the favorite to win the tournament. Oftentimes you'll get double your money than you would have if you made a future bet, or better. A team at 20 to 1 to win the tournament might be 40 to 1 or better if you roll over your winnings with every game. Second, and this is every bit as important, you can reduce your risk and lock in a profit simply by reducing your bet size after a win or two. Instead of double or nothing every time, like a future wager is, and you don't have to bet against yourself to hedge. That reduces your overall ROI when you're betting against yourself as a hedge bet. You don't have to do that. Instead, you just bet smaller or less or none because you're making every individual betting decision before that game. You're not locked into anything. So when it comes to these future bets, when it comes to these money line and riding these money line bets, shop around. Remember, books aren't loyal to you. Why on earth should you be loyal to them? It's a great time to set up new accounts. Bonus specials run wild during March Madness. And remember, those money line prices and future book prices can vary dramatically from book to book. Just setting up a second or a third account can legitimately improve your ROI with these wagers. So I didn't learn it last night, Prez, but I was thinking about it last night. Today, it was worthy of some discussion. The best way to bet college basketball futures. Lawrence?
Teddy covers. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, please take a second out of your day and hit that like button. We have Teddy's big game breakdown still to come. He's won 8 in a row. We have the daily presidential address, Kyle Anthony, and right now, this very second, Ralph Michaels. Ralph, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Prez. Good morning, Teddy. Yeah, conference tournaments, Teddy, as you mentioned, I'll tell you what, so exciting to be watching those games and getting value the next day for finding teams that had outlier performances or negative outlier performances.
Well, I'll tell you, Ralph, I had a game last night, Radford -5, and they won by 7, so I covered that. I swept in college basketball. But it wasn't on TV up in Toronto, go figure. I had to watch it on ESPN updates. Man, I texted my friend and I'm like, so much drama. And he's like, it's March in college basketball. The drama has just begun. Anyway, Golden State, Ralph, they were -7. If you go to WagerTalk, you click on our live odds screen. Teddy, I'm doing good. It is
Free
now
live odds.
-8. It is now -8. So where are we going in this game? The Golden State Warriors versus the Chicago Bulls.
Full disclosure, as I do, I always enjoy using a free client release on this play. At the end of the segment, you're going to hear an incredible 90% off savings. Just so you know, this is one of the 3 plays in the package. And I am on Golden State. I've been on the Warriors since they've become healthy and they started to play solid defense. Both teams played last night. Quite a different fashion, though. Golden State had a 20-point halftime lead, and they pulled all the starters. Curry played 31 minutes. No other player played more than 26 minutes, and 15 players for the Golden State Warriors played at least 4 minutes yesterday. You want to talk about a bench-clearing game, that was it. Meanwhile, the Bulls went down to the wire. It was a 2-point win that they trailed late. Their starters, averaged 36 minutes with only 9 players seeing action. I look at Golden State and I break them down. What have they done as a favorite of -2 or higher? Well, guess what? They're 11-1 straight up in ATS in that role. When they're the better team, they take care of business. When they have no rest, they have been an excellent team with no rest. We know they have a lot less energy exerted last night. They're 9-4 against the spread with no rest, including 4 straight winners since they've had their full lineup and have been healthy. The Bulls with no rest, 1-4 on the road as a small favorite or a dog. And when you look at teams since 2004, when both teams have no rest, the visitor is off an away win and the home team is off a home game, those teams have gone 68.8%. And lastly, tired legs, guys. We talk about Denver and the Mile High City. Well, people don't realize Salt Lake City is actually 4,265 feet. When teams played at Utah and then played the next day on the road, those teams have only gone 38.6% against the stretch. So we have a tired team that played in altitude against a team that didn't face anyone. Golden State, again, an actual client release.
So it's interesting when we're picking trends. I'm sitting there looking at Chicago and going, man, the Bulls are better than I thought they were on the second of back-to-backs. Your data said otherwise. And I'm just going to go through some numbers. I got the Bulls in their last 6 tries on back-to-backs. They've won 5 of those games in straight-up fashion. Last time they had a gutty overtime win against Cleveland in this role, coming off a loss. Do you worry at all that the Bulls have been gritty on the second of back-to-backs? Because Chicago, to me, very much a character team. And that concerns me laying a lot of points against them.
Well, Teddy, you talk about 3 of those wins. 3 of those teams were at home when they beat the Heat, when they beat the Spurs, when they beat the Cavs. On the road, they've only beaten the Hornets and they've beaten the Spurs with no rest. So clearly not positive teams against. So to me, it does make a big difference if you're on the road with no rest or at home with no rest, especially in the situation coming off the altitude.
Well, Michaels, I think someone has hacked our Slack channel. Marco puts out Toronto plus 10.5, line moves immediately. USC minus 8.5, it's 9.5. Golden State minus 7, you put in, it's -8. I think, we are a line moving gang. What can I tell you? But this line really moved. Holy Cross against Colgate. Colgate was -17. They are now -19. That is a 2-point move early in the day. Where are we going in this game?
Well, Prez, let's put it this way. $100 probably moved that Colgate line where Golden State needs $50,000 to move. There's a little bit of a difference between a Patriot League championship game and the Warriors playing, Golden State. So again, I'm not concerned with those early line moves. If they're posting a line, and yes, we're in conference tournaments, and a lot of times, these big favorites don't tend to do well early. But this Colgate team is a team that I am impressed with. And I have no problems. They're obviously the complete class of the Patriot League. The number 1 offense, the number 1 or number 2 defense. I look at them. I look what they've done in this role. I look what they've done against this opponent. They played twice. At home, they won 85-55. Now, Colgate's big issue is free throw shooting. So if they were -7, 8, or 9, and I think the game might be close, I might not lean with Colgate. But when they're laying almost 20 points, I feel comfortable that missing a few free throws isn't going to matter. In the first game this year, they only made 7 of 12 free throws. In the second game, they only made 7 of 14. But again, Holy Cross, a very poor dog. They're only 5-16 ATS as a dog of 3. And when I look at the series, Colgate has been a 15-plus favorite in 4 straight games, but they're 4-0 ATS in that role, covering by 8.5, 11.5, 5, and 5. I look at Colgate last year. They won the Patriot League. They ended up losing by Texas to 20. But in the first game, in the Patriot League game last year, they won 92-73. When I look at round one 2 years ago, they won 96-68. And then when I look 3 years ago, they won 77-69. So, we have a coach in Matt Langle that's been there since 2012. He's been the dominant team for many years in the conference, but he does not look past game one of these tournaments. He lets his opponents know they're in for a battle. I do like Colgate minus the points.
Colgate minus 19, 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Ralph, you've got a chart for conference tournament action, and I think it's an excellent chart. Let's bring it up and let's talk about it.
Well, I'm going to the old roots. These are like the old TNA segments with Kelly on Bet on It. So I just wanted to share 3 scenarios for conference tournaments coming up that gives you an idea of what the records are. So number 1, you see I have teams off back-to-back wins against teams off back-to-back losses. And I'm going to say most people think, I rather would have the hotter team going into the conference tournaments. But Teddy, you and Marco talked about conference tournaments being a reset. So let's take a look at system number 1. When a team is off back-to-back wins versus a team off back-to-back losses, the teams coming in off back-to-back wins are only 80 and 115, 41% against the spread. And if those teams off back-to-back wins are a favorite of minus 11 or higher, they're only 35.5%. I'll throw out a few of them, guys. Texas State tonight, Tennessee, Vermont, Binghamton, Western Carolina, and Kansas City tomorrow, and St. Thomas on Saturday. So those are the teams that applies to. System number 2. The third meeting after losing the first 2. How many times do we hear it's hard to beat a team 3 times in the season? Well, I can tell you what, ATS-wise, if you lost the first 2 meetings, you are 50.2% in the third meeting. So against the spread, it's a toss-up if you lost the first 2. But if you lost the first 2 and you're a favorite, you have covered 55.7%. And if you lost the first 2 games of the season and you're a pick or a small favorite to minus 7, you've actually covered 57.3%. And the third one, with the staggered start times for those bigger conferences, when a team is off an upset win as a dog of +5 or more, and now they have no rest, playing a higher seeded team that hasn't played since the weekend with 3 or more days rest, those teams off the upset win are only 4-47 straight up and only 19-30, 39% against the spread. So 3 different situations with some subsets. I, of course, will post this as soon as I log off on the show on Twitter at CalSportsLV, so you could take a closer look at these and keep that chart for next week.
And certainly what you see a lot of times in conference tournament action, a team pulls an upset win and all of a sudden they get a whole lot of hype. Many times those upset wins, there were hot 3-point shooting or cold 3-point shooting for one of the 2 teams. Outlier performances. Ralph Michaels' chart clearly shows those teams tend to come back to earth after that initial underdog victory. Ralph Michaels, great info. What do you have to promote, my friend?
Well, guys, a 9-0 run the last 2 days, 27-11 the last 38 plays. College basketball 13-6, 68%. NBA 8-2, 80% the last 10, and 82-47 in the NBA going back to last April. I started a new top play trio this week, and boy, people are excited about it. You get my top NBA, top NHL, and top college basketball play for $29. And any new customer that has never bought at WagerTalk or has only made one purchase can use the code NEWRALPH, NEWRALPH, and save 90% off my package today only. So you go to WagerTalk, you buy my package for $29, put in the code NEWRALPH, and you are saving 90% or paying just $2.90 for all 3 plays tonight.
Brilliant. Ralph Michaels, man, thanks for joining us. Your info is incredible, like always. And Teddy, you got your big game breakdown coming up, but real quick, John Finley writes, I smoke too much pot to hang with these charts sometimes. John, as an ex-professional pot smoker, I find charts easier to hang with when super high. I find I can focus more. I can delve deeper into it. So I'm not with you. But I listened to that chart sober a few minutes ago. Yeah, to be high all day. Remember the wake and bake days, Teddy?
Not really. That's why they existed. The days you don't remember.
Yeah, you remember all of them. Okay, brother, it's time for your big game breakdown. Then Kyle Anthony is joining us. Let's go.
So we have Potential's final preview in Denver tonight. My top 2 power-rated teams and the favorites to win each conference. Max focus spot for the Celtics and the Nuggets. Both teams coming off a loss. Look at the WagerTalk Live odds screen right now. I'm seeing some spots Denver's -1, some spots pick 'em. I'm seeing a couple of Boston -1s. Total sitting in the 221 range. We have seen under money so far this morning. And of course, when we talk about 2 teams coming off a loss, I mean, the Celtics had their 11-game winning streak snapped. They drew a 22-point fourth quarter lead in Cleveland. Denver, on the other end of the equation, they rallied from 22 down, took a lead against Phoenix, and then ended up, Durant tied it, and then they lost it and got blown out in overtime. We got Jaylen Brown listed as questionable tonight. I would not be surprised if he suits up. And Brown's thought, his quote stood out to me. Whether everyone wants to throw it away or not, we've got to look at the film and address some stuff because that matters after they lost. Your habits are everything. Your mentality is everything. And every game, you can't waste no possessions. You can't waste no time there on the floor. So today matters. We need to look at that. Focus right there. Of course, these 2 teams played once already this year. The Nuggets handed the Celtics their first home loss of the season. It was 102-100. They couldn't stop, Boston couldn't stop Jamal Murray. They couldn't stop the Joker. Those 2 combined for 69 points in that night, in that ball game, I should say. Tatum had a chance to win it at the end, couldn't hit, just like last time. They had a chance to win at the end and couldn't hit. I would not be surprised at all from a side standpoint if this game 2 comes right down to the final possession or 2. But I keep going back to that first meeting. 52% shooting for Denver at +7. Celtics only hit 43%, but they did hit 14 threes. And again, it finished with 202 points. It stayed 30+ to the under. And you think about tonight's game, playoff intensity at regular season numbers. We saw it last night with Warriors-Bucks. Let's not overthink this. Expect a relatively low-scoring game in Denver tonight. And let's ride the Celtics Nuggets under the total 221. Again, the prevailing number as we speak. There's a big game breakdown. And let's not forget, Teddy 25 will get you 25% off any all-access pass on the website, myself, or any other cappers. You can even use it to buy Prez. So any all-access pass, use promo code Teddy25 at checkout. Lawrence?
There you go. Thank you for pointing that out, Teddy. So Teddy25, and you get 25% off any package at checkout. Yes. I will steal that promo and put it in my daily presidential address and penalty box segment and give you credit for it. Speaking of wake and bake, Teddy, Kyle Anthony joining us. Kyle, you wake and bake this morning? Let's be honest.
No.
Lay it out.
No, not today. That's a more of a weekend, kind of situation here. I need a clear mind for capping, researching, doing my thing. But sometimes when I dive into fights late, there's definitely, like you're saying, I'm zoned in. I am zoned in. If I'm high smoking, I am zoned into every single punch that's thrown. So I like it. It helps out. I use it the right way, Prez, the right way.
Yeah, so my friends get mad at me. Well, not my friends. My friends' wives get mad at me when I drive high. And I'm like, is there any other way? Anyway, Kyle Anthony, we got 2 bets to go through, and then we're going to tackle the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight. But let's leave that to the end. Sean O'Malley, the hair of the UFC. He's fighting Marlon Vera. O'Malley is plus 130 here. Is that where you're going?
Well, I mean, for all the right reasons, this guy is the favorite. Back in 2020, they fought. It was a very short-lived fight overall. Vera kicked the leg of O'Malley. He went down, TKO, and Vera gets the victory. Now we're redoing it again for a title fight. Now, the one thing here why I think money has poured in on Sean O'Malley is just overall, it's going to be a striking bout, and he's clearly the better striker overall. He's going to have the cleaner combinations. He's going to have the better timing, the accuracy. All those things really work well for him. And again, his footwork is really where he finds a lot of success, working in, working out of pocket, throwing nice counter combinations. Now, the issue with Vera is that he's low volume. You know, the guy has power. The guy is a good kickboxer. He has good range, but he just does not put out enough volume overall. Also, his big issue is for the first round or two, I mean, and this is at an absolutely high clip, for every fight of his, he does not really throw many punches in the first round. And I think it's mostly because of just downloading information, getting his reads on his opponent, getting opportunities to kind of have what he can and then kind of move from there through the second and the third round. And that could be a problem here where he's going to fall behind on strikes. O'Malley's going to push the pace a lot there. And I think also that Vera's going to struggle just cutting the distance. O'Malley's going to be on his bike. He's going to be running around the cage, slapping at legs, working at range. And I think that's going to be very, very difficult for Vera in this spot. And where I'm going kind of with my bet here is I do think this goes to a decision. I don't think this is going to be something you're going to see a finish. I think that both of them are going to work at range. I don't think there's going to be, O'Malley's not going to give him a brawl. But the other part is that Vera has 8 losses in his career. All of them are by decision. He is very durable. He is very good with that. Yes, he can be, get behind on opponents and knock them out late in fights. But I still think this is O'Malley here. I think that him via points is the spot. Right now, you're looking around plus 130 on O'Malley via points. I like it. I think he keeps the title, and he does it via decision.
We're talking UFC 299 Saturday night in Miami. And of course, it's not easy to find O'Malley at a plus price, but you can do it if you want O'Malley by the points. He's minus 270 for the fight if you just want to take him to win. But by decision, you can get the plus price with O'Malley. Let's talk about the card or the fight right before O'Malley and Vera. That, of course, Benoit Saint-Denis versus Dustin Poirier. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing Saint-Denis, minus 205, minus 215, minus 230. Interesting. I'm seeing 2.5s and 1.5s for the total rounds. The 2.5s juice to the under, the 1.5s juice to the over. You don't see that. You don't see split lines on how long the fight is going to be very often. How do you break this one down on Saturday night in Miami?
Yeah, this one should be an absolute banger. I think everyone knows what we're getting here. It's just going to be, I think, both of them being savages, pushing forward, throwing big shots. And the one thing that I find the most interesting about this is that this line opened where Poirier was about a minus 175 favorite. Now money had poured back in on Saint-Denis. He now is the big favorite on that side. It's kind of interesting, but I think it's also has to do with a massive recency bias and really what people saw last. And we just saw, Saint-Denis go out there, knock out Matt Frevola in the first round. We just saw Dustin Poirier get knocked out by Justin Gaethje, and that is going to definitely change a lot of the sentiment with both of these guys overall. And both of them also do have paths to victory. Saint-Denis, he can definitely push forward, utilize his grappling, utilize his pressure, and get the takedowns. And we've seen that Dustin Poirier can be susceptible to being taken down, being controlled. Now, he also was controlled by pretty much the top-level guys on the ground. I mean, we're talking Khabib, We're talking Charles Oliveira. We're talking Michael Chandler. I mean, these are high-level guys. And is St. Denis there? This is a massive step up for him overall for St. Denis, and he's coming in as a big favorite. Now, Poirier, he's absolutely going to have the better striking, the better boxing, the better footwork, better combinations on the outside. And it really does come down to, can he keep the fight standing? You know, can he work at range? Can he utilize the boxing? And you know that St. Denis going to bring it. But I think where Dustin really needs to do is he really needs to take this fight into deep water. This is going to be a 5-round fight. A lot of times co-main events aren't. This is going to be a 5-round fight. And I think early, St. Denis could find opportunities to bull rush, get takedowns. But I think as this fight goes on, we don't know if St. Denis can kind of keep that pressure going, keep pushing forward. He's got 13 victories. All of them are inside the distance. So we have not seen that. Dustin is extremely, extremely durable. I think he has opportunities here to do really well. And also 34% takedown success rate for St. Denis, 63% defense rate for Dustin. I think that he can keep this standing. Again, I think that's where this goes. I think this line is too wide here. I do agree St. Denis should be the favorite in this spot, but I think it's too wide. I think a sprinkle is worth on Dustin Poirier at solid plus money.
Kyle Anthony joining us. So, Mr. Anthony, Mike Tyson, age 412, is taking on Jake Paul. I'm just going to say right off the bat, and then we'll go to you. These fights give us a lot of opportunity to make money. Now, obviously, there's going to be limits on these fights, but one thing we know, and we see this all the time, is the books are all over the map. We have one book with Jake Paul at minus 285. We have another book with Mike Tyson at plus 300. Now, I am no rocket scientist, but if you put $1 million on Jake Paul at minus 285 and $1 million on Mike Tyson at plus 300,
Can't get the bet down.
I know you can't get that down, dude. I know, but the point I'm making is there is a middle right there, right now. It's happening in front of your very eyes. You can make 15, well, it's less than 15 cents on the dollar because it is higher than that. But at least there is a middle there, Kyle. And that there's going to be middles there right up until fight time. Dude, free money, Jake Paul. I just can't see him losing this fight. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be a circus here, and pretty much all of them are. But I do think you got to give a little bit of credit to Jake Paul. He's a savvy businessman. He keeps kind of reinventing this whole situation here. And, you know, it started, he was boxing YouTubers, that a bunch of kids that pretty much didn't give a shit about boxing, and they just kind of strapped them up that night and went. And he was the guy that was taking it seriously. He was trying to, you know, move up his boxing career, move forward. Then he started fighting, you know, washed up MMA guys, which again, optically looks great, you know, builds a name. You're beating guys who are past champions, but they're in their mid 40s and don't even compete anymore. And that looked great. And then he kind of got exposed a little bit against Tommy Fury, which Fury is a real boxer, but also not really that good either. And that all looks, you know, great. But I think really that you got Tyson, who has not fought competitively for 20 years. You know, the last fight was like, you know, 04, somewhere around there. I mean, whatever it was. And then he fought in 2020 up against, it was Roy Jones. And that was an exhibition. And then, of course, boxing does boxing things. That falls into a split draw. So there was no even winner in the exhibition match here. But, I mean, if you look at just physicality in both of them, I mean, 27 years old for Jake, 57 for Mike Tyson. You know, Jake is a big dude. He's 6'1". You know, Tyson's 5'10". But I think the other part here is the reach advantage. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage for Jake Paul here. And the other kind of fishy part about this is it's going to be on Netflix. And that smells very fishy to me. This, you know, it's normally like if the star of the show, you want to back the star of the show, and the star of the show is Jake Paul, and I think that's where this is going here. I mean, obviously it's that money. If you're looking for a method, I would assume Tyson can last. I kind of lean more towards this being a decision victory for him than anything, that Tyson can at least get through the fight, last, and Jake gets it. So I do lean on the decision here, but either way, I think Jake Paul wins it though.
Okay, we got a hard out with Teddy, but I got to jump in here. You think is this a 3-rounder?
No, what is it, like 8?
So
It's got to be like 8.
a 57-year-old man who hasn't had a real fight in 20 years is going to go the distance? Like, as in, he's going to die of a heart attack at around round 4? Like, honestly, if
not
you can
Tyson.
get
Not
Mike
Tyson.
Tyson has a heart attack in the middle of the fight, that to me is a good. Guys, bet Jake Paul now, because this will be the best value you will ever get on him.
Yes.
This is the easiest
Minus
money you will
200.
ever make. Dan Marino versus Mac Jones right now in a throwing contest. I take Mac Jones. This fight is a joke, but it provides us with a great betting opportunity. Go bet Jake Paul right now. Mike Tyson is going to have a heart attack in this fight. This is idiocy at its highest level. Kyle, what do you got to promote? And then we got to call it a day.
So this weekend, UFC 299, I have a 5% and a 4% play in the same pack. Feeling good about it. We've cashed the last 6 events, and then out of the last 17 events, I've cashed 13 of them. So we're on a nice run here. Want to keep it going, get into that 7th straight winning weekend. So check it out, WagerTalk.com, and we're going to keep this rolling.
Yeah, there we go. Kyle Anthony, thank you so much, my brother. Somebody just mentioned Mike Tyson had a fight like 3 years ago. Yeah, that wasn't a real fight. Anyway, Teddy has to run. I have to do my daily presidential address. I'm going to shut up. Dan, cue it up. Okay. Daily presidential address time. I got 2 NHL plays. While I'm telling you this, Teddy is looking at me with serious evil eyes. Lots of love, Teddy. Thank you, my brother. I'm sorry the show went long. Let's get to it. I like Vegas minus 115, and I'm going to tell you guys why in the penalty box segment, but I really, really like this play a lot. I also like Edmonton and Columbus to go over the total. Guys, I got a very rare 4% NHL money line bet up tonight for my clients. I am 5-1 in these bets all season long. Do not miss that play. Teddy, sorry you went long, my brother. Lots of love. Take us home.
That's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and tomorrow's show, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your wagers.